Welcome to Eat Sleep Nerd, a podcast where you can check out, go AFK, and relax with us as we discuss all things nerd. Comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and anything else that gets geeks more excited than people in Westeros, taking an eye for an eye super seriously.
Welcome to episode number 29. I am your dorky DJ, Corey Winter, and as always, I am joined by my nerdy brother, Josh Winter, and our geeky friend, Jason Summer. In this episode, Henry Cavill is officially back as Superman, Walter Hamada has officially left Warner Brothers, Ant-Man 3 trailer reactions, and David Tennant is back in Doctor Who. Woo. In the spoilery second half of the episode, we are reviewing Black Adam, Season 1 of She-Hulk, Season 1 of The Rings of Power, and Season 1 of House of the Dragon. And please do not forget, super important, share this show with your friends. Jason, Josh, talk nerdy to me. What?
I just said Fat Albert.
Yeah, that's the call sign of the nerds, I guess.
Right?
50 years ago.
So guess what I did?
What did she do?
I finished Outer Worlds.
Oh, good. I was wondering how that was going. Sorry, I'm stuck on Fat Albert. Oh, so
Bill Cosby was a criminal.
Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds. Yes, not Outer Wilds. Outer Worlds. So it truly was a cross between Fallout and Firefly.
I don't think you've ever mentioned that before.
Yeah, no. I know. I've said it every time because it gets more true. Really a lot of fun.
Hey, was there a guy who wears a bowler hat? And
there was, you smart aleck.
Oh gosh. So good game.
Did I tell you I finished the game though? I don't think I told you I finished it.
No.
Okay.
Definitely told us you started it like 8 times.
Right.
So obviously it's an older game, but if you were to review it and we were to give it a score, what would you give it?
Oh, I would give it I'd give it a solid 4.5.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it was out of 5. It was a really good solid game. There were plenty of side quests. It was a good long game, good story. You had to make moral decisions, and the game kind of, it turned out based on those decisions. So yeah, it had all the elements of gameplay that I really like. So I highly recommend it. And they are working on an Outer Worlds 2, and yes. I'm excited about that.
Yes.
Also, after I went super nerd and I bought a copy of the Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien to get my Lord of the Rings history going on. So I'm excited to read that. That just came in the mail today.
Nice.
So I'm excited for that.
You got your copy of the Simile Lion?
The Simile Lion. And Josh, you were actually part of the inspiration for that because you were so knowledgeable while we were watching The Rings of Power together. And you said that you had gotten a lot of your information from that book. So I would like to become as knowledgeable. So I wanted to read that.
The Smiley Leopard.
Yes.
It's a good one. I'm frequently told I'm inspirational to people, but it means a lot more coming from you.
Thanks. And your humility knows no bounds.
Well, not to stroke Josh's ego anymore. What have you been doing this week, Josh?
What did we do? Oh, I made Corey watch his first episode of The Next Generation.
Which one did we watch?
We watched, what? I can't remember what it was called. The drum trial. Or the drumhead trial.
Drumhead.
Yeah, drumhead trial.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
That is a very good one.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. Because I told Corey it's an episode that has 0 action, but tells you everything you need to know about The Next Generation.
I was already planning to watch it, so I will go watch it now. Yeah, I'll get around to that one.
Yeah, first season's going to be rough, buddy. I'm just going to let you know.
Yeah, first season is...
Isn't that most shows, right? I mean,
worth getting through.
Yeah. I was actually reading something about where it really gets good, where The Next Generation really becomes a good show. It's in the second season, Measure of a Man.
Yep.
Where, that's where it really starts. That's where it gets its footing.
I like how you guys know the names of the episodes. Like,
dude, once you start, there'll be a few that really do stick out to you. Like, it's not a joke. Yeah. Like, you will remember. Yeah.
Like, there are songs I've heard hundreds of times. I could not tell you the names of them. I don't know how you guys do that, but okay.
The beauty of being a geek, man. This is Beauty and the Geek.
What about you, Corey? What have you been doing?
What you been doing? I built my second Lego skyscraper. It is a lot bigger than I was expecting it to be, which is a good thing, I guess. But this one, I will admit, is not built as well. Let's just say, as I got to the top floors, it collapsed like several times.
Did you use rebar? Rebar helps with that. Did you use rebar?
Well, that was the design flaws that it needs a couple more cross beams to give some support. So I actually cut myself several times, like blood everywhere, because the Legos were so sharp, and I was having to push down on it to get some pressure. But that's what caused it to collapse. So it was painful, but got it done. It looks great. So I probably won't be literally touching that one anytime soon for fear of collapse, but it's fine.
You've literally left your DNA in that skyscraper.
yeah. And then I've still been powering through Cyberpunk now that it's actually a playable game.
Okay.
And I am so upset that this is not the state the game was in 2 years ago, because if it had been, this would have been a game of the generation. Like, this is an amazing game, but I hate that it took 2 years after release for it to get there. Like, I am like very close to being addicted to it. Like, if we were not recording right now, I'd be off playing it. It is so good. But
you know, this is, I hate to do it, but this is where Josh was right again, you know, talking about what it means to be able to digitally release everything instead of producing a finished package that you have to buy in a store.
Yeah.
And man, maybe I'll give it another shot. If you seem to like it so well, maybe I'll give it another shot.
Yeah. I think I'm 35 hours into it. And actually, I got to the last main story mission last night a lot sooner than I was expecting to. So I was like, oh no, I don't want to finish it yet. So then I just went off and did side missions to make it last longer. I really want to see how it ends, but I want to like make it last as long as possible. So yeah, loving Cyberpunk.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's me. Programming notes. We actually do not have that much to talk about next week. It's actually kind of exciting. No, we'll probably get back into the Star Wars Andor if we have time to catch back up. But aside from that, literally nothing is coming out. I will probably be talking about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, because that's coming out this week, and I'm a huge fan of the Modern Warfare series of Call of Duty games. So I'm playing that one on Friday. I actually took Friday off because I want to have a day where I can just play a video game and not worry about anything else. So I took off work on Friday so I can play Call of Duty.
Nerd.
Sure. Mental health day.
Yeah. So I will probably be talking about that one come our next episode. So look out for that.
So does it mean anything if your bosses hear this?
I took off the day. It's fine. I put in my time.
Okay.
We're good. We're good. Okay. Come at me, bosses. You know who you are. All right. Do you guys want to get into the nerdy news?
Let's do it.
All right. We have actually not that much to talk about, but we have a lot of Warner Brothers things to talk about this week.
And what we do have is like big news.
Big news. So we've been calling
big news.
Yes. So I guess Fat Albert's just here to stay.
That didn't even sound like Fat Albert. It sounded like a drunk dinosaur.
So yes.
Hi, Mama.
So we've had a running segment on the show where we're calling Warner Brothers the dumpster fire. But the last couple of weeks, all of the DC news has been like pretty good news. And the best news is what we're starting off with tonight.
Can I say it?
Go ahead, Jason. Go for it.
Henry Cavill is back as Superman. Officially.
So Dwayne Johnson has been teasing his return for the past couple of weeks leading up to Black Adam. And spoilers, he does make a slight cameo in the end credits for Black Adam. So it's already like it's set in stone. Like he came back up in his Superman outfit. But just today, as of this recording, it's this breaking news. So we're recording this on Monday, October 24th. This episode comes out on the 25th. Breaking news as of today is that Henry Cavill himself took to his Instagram to make the official announcement that he is back and back for several appearances, it sounds like. So I'm actually going to play his Instagram reel here on the podcast for you guys. It's about 40 seconds long, but yeah, let's just see what Henry Cavill has to say.
Hey everyone, I wanted to wait until the weekend was over before posting this, because I wanted to give you all a chance to watch Black Adam. But now that plenty of you have, I wanted to make it official that I am back as Superman. And the image you see on this post and what you saw in Black Adam are just a very small taste of things to come. So there's a lot to be thankful for, and I'll get to that in time, but I want to thank you guys most of all. Thank you for your support, and thank you for your patience. I promise it will be rewarded.
More things to come.
He is genuinely happy.
Yes, as we all are.
Yes, but like you could see he's just so happy to be playing Superman again. That's so cool. I'm glad he made that little announcement too. That's so cool.
And I think that this podcast had just a little bit to do with it. We put it out there in the universe, in the internet. We wanted him back, and we got it.
But I guess we really have to say, thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you, Dwayne Johnson. Josh, how do you feel about this?
I just need a minute.
Oh, no.
No,
we've waited so long.
Yeah, I know. Like that's the big. It's a feeling of vindication. I know that's silly to say because like that's a heavy word, but it's kind of one of those things where everyone except for the people in charge were on the same page. Like it is very difficult to find someone. He may not be their favorite Superman, but it is very difficult to find anyone who said they didn't like him as Superman.
Right.
And so it has been very frustrating for a very long time that Warner Brothers just seem to not really be interested in bringing him back.
So I actually want to circle back to what you're saying about the people in charge at Warner Brothers, but I want to get Jason's initial reactions to this because he is our in-house Superman superfan. So Jason, what are your initial reactions to this?
Okay. This is going to...
It's okay if you cry.
Without getting into my review of Black Adam. But...
No, go for it.
The post-credit scene was the first genuine joy I felt in that 2 hours of watching the movie. I was hoping that the hype wasn't wrong and that they were all pointing to the things that we wanted them to be pointed to. So when I finally saw Henry Cavill come out of the smoke, it was relief and pure joy. Yeah. And just, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the fans. I'm so glad that Dwayne Johnson figured out how to get this done. So thank you to The Rock.
Since we're all talking about that post-credit scene right now, I will say, I actually saw that scene leak a few days before we saw the movie.
Couldn't help it.
But that did not take away how impactful that scene actually was watching it in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
Because even though I knew it was coming, seeing Henry Cavill slowly walk out of that smoke and like his logo reveals itself first and then slowly his face unveils itself, that was just emotional. I think is the best
because his muscular chest is so massive.
That's what an apex man looks like.
But here's the thing, Superman would not call himself that.
No, even though he factually is. But no, I mean, it wasn't even just that he's back. Like he looked more like Superman than he ever has.
Well, I was going to say it was cathartic, I think, when he was coming out of that smoke, just to get that confirmation, even though we knew it was happening, just to get that solid confirmation that he actually is back after begging for it for, I guess, 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
That was emotional.
Yeah.
I actually teared up a little bit.
Yeah.
Tears of happiness.
Yeah. And now not to say Zack Snyder's Justice League didn't have a lot to do with it too, but I think the final steps were taken by Dwayne by going around the higher, because I don't know, was it Variety? Was it the article I shared? Was it Variety?
The Hollywood Reporter. It's actually
Hollywood Reporter.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Go ahead and say that, but I'm going to be pulling several things from this article that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, so basically it talked about how this came to pass, and Dwayne Johnson was so certain that this was going to work out that they filmed his part of that post-credit scene with a stand-in for Henry Cavill. And this was a couple months back, and then he went around the head of Warner Brothers.
Hamada.
Did he go around Hamada to the actual? Who was it that he went to again?
So I'll just, you know what? Thank you for this segue.
Yeah.
So the Hollywood Reporter, they came out with this big report last week, just detailing a bunch of stuff that's happening in the DC realm of things at Warner Brothers. And they did touch on this Superman, Henry Cavill coming back story. And to pick up where Jason's leaving off, after Hamada said no, Johnson went around the executive, turning to DeLuca and Abdi, which are heads at Warner Brothers, who gave the thumbs up. A furious round of negotiating occurred before Labor Day, a deadline insisted on by Warner's, with the scene shot in mid-September. So this cameo actually came, it all happened actually pretty recently, like just a couple of weeks ago, it all came together.
And I realized after reading that this could not have happened prior to digital media and streaming media.
Yeah.
Like there was no way that you could have filmed this and gotten it on every freaking reel that was submitted to the movie theaters. Yeah. So this is tailor-made real-time movie creation for fan service.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty phenomenal.
And I'm still sticking to my guns that this is all happening because of how Dwayne Johnson was booed at Comic-Con. I think once that happened, he went to Hamada and then obviously the other people to get this to happen because he did not want to be the guy that got booed for talking about Superman being played by somebody else. So yeah, thank you, Comic-Con fans that were there and booed Dwayne Johnson. Thank you for giving him that little kick in the butt to make this happen. So going through the rest of this Hollywood Reporter story, another big Superman takeaway is that Man of Steel 2 is officially being written. Now, I say officially being written, they are looking for writers, but to pick up where this article picks up on this story, and I quote, "The studio's eyes are very much on Superman. Under Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav and Warner Brothers Pictures heads Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi, Warner's has an intense desire to reprise the Cavill iteration of the hero. The project that would essentially be Man of Steel 2 is being produced by Charles Roven and is currently searching for writers." Yeah, so Man of Steel 2, which we have been predicting is, I guess, officially in development. Hasn't been greenlit yet, it sounds like, but they are working towards making this happen.
I had given up on the whole.
Yeah, I never thought we would get another standalone.
I'd given when I
Cavill Superman.
Yeah, because if I think a couple episodes ago, I was like, I think they're going to let the current DC movies do their thing, then they're going to give us a break for about 2 years, and then they're going to come back with the new DC cast and everything. I did not expect this. This is awesome.
Which I think asks a bigger question. What the heck are they doing big picture wise?
Oh.
Because the assumption was that everything was going for a hard reboot. But now, I mean, they've gotten Cavill back. There's been a lot of reports that Affleck has been hanging out at Warner Brothers a lot. Mm-hmm. And that they're making a Wonder Woman 3, that so they're not getting rid of her anytime soon. They may be trying to get him to sign back up to be Batman again. And clearly he's on board for being Batman again. He keeps agreeing to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, a few other things that ties into this. We do know now officially that the Flash 2 script has already been written.
But it will not be Ezra.
It will not be Ezra. There's actually rumors of who they're actually looking at right now, but I actually don't have that pulled up. So there is someone that they're circling to take over the Flash role. But yes, even before the Flash hits theaters, they've already written an entire Flash 2 script. We do know now via this Hollywood Reporter story that James Gunn is in negotiations to helm one or possibly even more secret DC projects after focusing on Peacemaker Season 2. We now know that Matt Reeves, the director of The Batman, he's also working on, obviously, The Batman 2, but several other movies set in that universe. And to pull from this article, and I quote, "Meanwhile, in Gotham City, filmmaker Reeves is quietly making his own expansion plans. Reeves is developing a sequel to his The Batman, There's also the series spin-off focusing on Colin Farrell's Penguin that's on the way and filming next year.
Which I still don't understand, but whatever.
But Reeves is plotting more. The filmmaker is meeting with writers and directors to build out movies, yes, movies, plural, not just series, focused on Batman Rogues Gallery, both established and more obscure, with characters ranging from Scarecrow to Clayface to Professor Pig. Is that how you say that?
Yep.
Pig? PYG? Yep. All of those projects are in the very early stages of gestation. I don't like that word.
Question.
So yes.
Okay. So he had a very grounded take on Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Super grounded. Like, made Christopher Nolan's movies look fantastical.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's doing Clayface. That is a very,
I don't know.
That is a very comic booky character. Now, again, in my book, this is a good thing. Because that was the coolest thing about Batman, was that he was always going up against superpowered villains, even though he's not superpowered.
Yeah.
Aside from superhuman levels of awesomeness. So, I don't, that's just an interesting development to me. Like Scarecrow, okay, you could do realistically. Professor Pig, you could do realistically. Clayface, there's no way to do that realistically.
It could be like plastic surgery gone wrong.
Maybe.
But that's Hush.
Oh.
Maybe Clayface just becomes the nickname and he's actually just a normal guy.
That would piss me off.
Okay, taking this conversation a little bit further, is this Matt Reeves universe separate from the Black Adam Man of Steel 2 universe?
It would have to be.
Why not?
It would have to be.
Yeah.
Because
I'm okay with
Black
that.
Adam Superman is Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill's Batman is Ben Affleck. And or possibly Michael Keaton.
But then we also have the Joker, which is
how
its own universe. We're going to have like multiple universes.
And I think that's okay.
But that's okay.
DC is huge.
I mean, how many iterations of comics do we have?
Exactly.
That is true.
Like,
that is true.
I think Batman, and we brought this up before, the Batman character is one of the best examples of having different iterations played by different types of actors, and it works perfectly for each one of those Batman.
Yeah.
But if you were to mix up the actors in the Batman, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So you can have, I'm totally fine with a couple different iterations of Batman going at once. That'd be cool. Do it with Superman too, whatever. I mean, as well, not two. Don't do
also
it two, but as also as well. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, DC. It seems like things are there. It seems like things are like, this has honestly been a pretty good year for DC. We had the Batman kicking off this year.
Mm-hmm.
We had things like the Sandman on Netflix doing great things. Obviously, the Batgirl drama kind of took things down a little bit, but then we're back with Black Adam, which in most cases audiences are liking. I know Jason is not a huge fan, but now we're getting all this news that Superman, that and Henry Cavill and all these things are picking back up. So it seems like DC is tilting the scales to where they might actually be the better property when compared to Marvel. Because I know we've all had our complaints about what Marvel's putting out this year.
Mm.
So I don't know.
Well, they're in two very different places. DC is giving us a lot of things to look forward to and to get excited about and to ask questions about. Marvel's doing this weird thing where we don't really know what they're doing.
Confusing the hell out of us.
They're starting a million plot lines that either don't go anywhere or might matter later. I don't know. And like, if we're being purely objective, Saga 1, the Infinity Saga, I would say 50% of their plot lines never resolved. So you've already started 100 new plot lines. Am I supposed to guess that 30 might get resolved? 40? Like, what's the number? So anyway.
But they all seem cohesive, though, to a degree.
I mean,
they all seem like they were kind of marching in one direction
until recently.
Well, that's what I'm sorry. The first and second phases.
Yeah. The Saga 1
up through. Right. Yeah.
So I think that's the best way I can put it. Is DC is giving me things to look forward to. Marvel seems to be struggling with that, and I think that's the best way I could put my problem with Phase 4 so far. Is they've done a hard job getting me excited about what's next.
Well, you know what, Josh?
Yes.
Thank you for that segue. Let's move into our next story.
Wait, we forgot my favorite story, though.
Oh, what was it?
Walter Hamada is gone and may burn in hell.
Oh yeah, completely forgot.
Wow, that's
yeah, completely looked over.
I mean, I don't wish death upon the man, but gosh.
Yeah, Walter Hamada, the guy that's kind of been leading the efforts to burn DC's movie universe to the ground.
He started the dumpster fire.
He did. So actually, just reading these snippets from the art, so we know he has officially stepped down. He's done with Warner Brothers as I guess he was the CEO, maybe. I don't know. The guy in charge. He has officially stepped down. He has retired. And reading from this Hollywood Reporter story directly, and I quote, "For now, DeLuca, who is known for his fanboy roots and displays a deep knowledge of esoteric comic lore, remains firmly in charge of DC. He greenlit Joker 2, has been making decisions on Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and The Flash, and has been meeting with filmmakers. Rumors abound that his role could evolve into one with a more permanent and even exclusive oversight of DC. As for Dwayne Johnson, last week he publicly expressed interest in helping guide the search for a DC boss. And to quote Dwayne Johnson, "The best position that I could be for DC is one as an advisor where I can help. I love DC. It's in my blood. In the spirit of growing up with the DC universe, I'm here to help in any way that I can, including looking for and finding that right leader or leaders."
USA. USA. USA.
Yeah, so Walter Hamada is gone. All of his crap is in the rearview mirror. DeLuca is doing a great job in the interim, but possibly more permanently. And if so, it sounds
he might
like
be the next Feige or the Feige DC Feige.
DC, yes,
DC Feige.
Yeah, it sounds like he's doing an awesome job right now. So I don't see why not just make him the permanent dude.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, we hear a lot of good things. Let's see how it goes.
True. Yeah. Right now he's basically just trying to give us what he wants, or what we want, but maybe the decision making process is
right. There has to be at some point he's going to have to go, "Listen, fans, we hear you, but that's not the best route for us. Trust me."
Yeah.
He'll probably have to go say that at some point.
DC
so Josh, you really wanted us to talk about that Walter Hamada thing. Sorry for overlooking it. Do you have thoughts?
No, just Walter Hamada's a terrible human being.
Okay.
Now hold on.
Josh has very strong feelings because he ruined Batman for him.
Okay, so no, it goes beyond that. Aside from the fact that you took what should have easily been the most profitable comics franchise on the face of the planet and somehow managed to run it into the ground.
Okay.
All of that aside, I did not like anything about how he handled the investigation on the Justice League, all the abuse allegations. Everything like that.
Okay.
He never seemed to take it seriously. He never really even made a public announcement about it. He did one at the beginning where he said, "We're going to look into it." Then he never did anything else. All the stars
Fair enough.
Completely cut ties with him. So clearly they have feelings about it, even though they didn't publicly say anything aside from Ray Fisher, who I think would join me in saying, "I hope that guy burns in hell." So
he actually did. I think I actually saw that. I think he actually took to one of his social media accounts and actually said "Good riddance, Hamada." He had like a whole thing.
Well, that's the one thing though, the one character that we've not heard about in all of this.
I don't think he wants to come back.
Yeah, I was going to say
after
first
everything
off,
he went through.
I don't think he would. Well, he's been very honest about saying that until he gets a full public written apology from Warner Brothers for everything that went down, which I think at this point, especially with Hamada gone, they just want to sweep it under the rug and move on. And from a business standpoint, I don't disagree. I just don't think that he is ever going to be satisfied enough to come back.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sure the people in charge now regret everything that happened and wish he would. So I hate that. Especially in the Snyder Cut where you get to see it fleshed out.
Right.
He was incredible. He was the best part about the Snyder Cut. Yeah. And after you saw what his story was and compare it to what went to theater, that's soul crushing. No wonder he was a little pissed.
Yeah. Exactly.
Even if there hadn't been all the other stuff that went into it, like that's he was the heart and soul of that movie. And so, that sucks. But just that was when I decided that Walter Hamada is probably a piece of trash. Is just the way he handled that entire thing. I just never really even showed any remorse for it. Just
all right, point Josh.
Just smiled and waved.
Point Josh.
I didn't know all of that backstory about him. I just figured he sucked at making decisions. But
I was like, whoa, we're being pretty strong here just because he misdirected the Warner Brothers. But no, now
it was pretty messed up because Ray Fisher's the one who started it and made it public, and then eventually Gal Gadot backed him up, and Ben Affleck just kind of quietly nodded. Didn't deny, but he didn't really want to get involved. But the messed up part was he said that Joss Whedon was abusive. He levied some things at Jeff Johns, who I think just got caught in the middle of it. But then he said that Hamada was the one who backed up Joss Whedon. And then Warner Brothers put Hamada in charge of the investigation. Like, that was never going to be good.
Yeah, that was certainly a conflict of interest then.
So, anyway, he's a trash human being. I'm glad he's gone. I hope he never gets another job.
All right. So that ruined my segue into the next story. But
the segue was into
DC Fight.
That was all Warner
Wait. I got to help her. Hey. Let's talk some Marvel.
All right, that works. So today, also relatively breaking news that came out today, we got our first look at Ant-Man 3.
And apparently it was a day early?
Yeah, so if what I was reading is to be believed. So when I first saw the trailer, I typically go to YouTube to pull the trailer directly from Marvel Studios' YouTube channel to share with you guys. But when I went to do that, I couldn't find it, but it was all over Twitter accounts, like all the press accounts. And I was like, something is weird here. Then come to find out, apparently, someone in Marvel's marketing team emailed all of the press the trailer a day early. So this trailer was actually supposed to come out on Tuesday instead of Monday, which is why it was not on any of Marvel's channels. So yeah, someone probably got fired for that little.
I hope
mishap.
some little Marvel person didn't get fired for one day. You know,
I doubt it mattered. It didn't really do anything. So yeah, we got the first look at Ant-Man 3, and it did confirm our theories that big multiverse movie. Obviously, Kang is there doing some stuff. Initial thoughts, guys. What are we thinking? It comes out, I think, February of next year.
Yeah, it's pretty soon.
Yeah, that was my first thing.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah, that it's sooner than I thought. But that's kind of been the way Marvel's been doing it. Here's your trailer. It comes out next week.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, right.
Okay. So no, that was the big thing.
Well, we got a lot going on.
No. My big thing was it kind of actually addressed the bitching I was just doing a second ago, where it just. I was thinking about this in the car actually. Marvel's biggest issue so far is it's made it apparent how much we need the big event movies, the Avengers movies.
Yeah.
Because they cap off every phase and kind of bring it all together.
Right.
And make it make sense. So I was thinking, like, would the MCU still be around if they had waited to the end of phase 2 to do the first Avengers movie?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Like, you would have gotten tired of watching it.
Yeah.
So I feel like this will be a big enough tentpole. Hey, this is kind of what we've been building up to movie. Because, like, we saw Kang. So the big bad guy who we know is going to be the big bad guy for the next Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's getting there. So this is good. I think we needed this movie right now, or they were about to lose a huge portion of their audience. Corey even chewed me out for kind of being like, dude, I'm over Marvel.
I did.
Like, and like, it's, but I mean, do you get where I'm coming from though? Like, it's
you have,
if you don't ground your 57 projects in something important, that's a lot of stuff for me to watch, man. Right. So,
I mean, like, if we had an expectation that the movies were all going to be like one-offs and we're just exploring comic book characters, that's fine.
Right.
You know? Don't have them all tied together. But the expectation is that they're all tied together at some point.
Yeah.
And when we're not seeing connections.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because actually it's going to be something I talk about in our She-Hulk review, is that there's a lot of expectations about what the MCU should be. And maybe those are expectations we just set on ourselves, and it's not something they're trying to do. But we have expectations about what to expect. And they've started veering off course from what those expectations are, which I think is why
and it's hard enough that we don't like it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yes, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is actually kicking off officially Phase 5. So it's actually the first movie in Phase 5 of the MCU.
Oh, so Phase 4 was a complete dumpster fire? Is that what we're saying?
Well, we still got one more. We still got Black Panther.
Oh, yeah, that's
right.
Which, anyway, so yes, Ant-Man 3. I've mentioned a few times, I'm actually a very big Ant-Man fan. I love the movies.
See, he keeps saying that. I don't ever remember him saying that.
It's on record. It's on this podcast. Because I love that they're just quirky and basically just a series of heist movies, and Paul Rudd is just adorable. So yeah,
well, he's one of those superheroes where he seems more relatable as like there's nothing it's his suit. It's not him that is the superpower. Like, he has the know-how and he has the intellect, but it could be anybody wearing that suit. So I think that makes it a little more relatable. He's a little more relatable too. So I get that.
And I will say, so I love the trailer. It looks like it's going to be a fun time. Mm-hmm. Big multiverse hopping adventure. And
microverse, isn't it?
Oh, well,
Teenyverse. That's a Rick and Morty joke.
The trailer started off with just the quirky Ant-Man humor that we're used to with Paul Rudd. And then it got progressively darker as Kang came into the picture. So I'll be sharing this trailer in the show notes if you have not seen it yet. Looks like a fun time. But Twitter actually kind of ruined something for me. They made comparisons between Ant-Man 3's trailer and Spy Kids. And I'll be sharing this Twitter post in the show notes. But
it's the same freaking color palette.
Same color palette.
And the same suits.
And even some of the same like shots, how they're set up. So
that's so funny.
Somebody on Twitter has already ruined this for me. Thank you, internet. But yeah, it's actually kind of uncanny how the trailer lines up with some shots from the original Spy Kids movie. But no, beside that, that's just a weird internet thing. But I still am massively looking forward to this movie. Should be a fun time. One more story is the geekiest of all things, Doctor Who.
Who?
So Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, I think she was the 13th. Is that correct?
Well, it depends on how we're counting. Are we counting the War Doctor?
No, we're not.
Okay, officially,
are we counting David Tennant's self-regeneration?
Okay. Okay.
Are we counting? I'm just saying.
Stop.
I'm just saying.
All right. So
gets a little convoluted.
Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, regardless of what number she was, good Lord, she had her last episode last night. We saw her regenerate, and so there was speculation. So it was previously announced that David Tennant was coming back for some specials. It was announced that Nakuti was taking over as the next official Doctor.
Right.
But for the first time ever, because of that, we didn't actually know who Jodie Whittaker was going to be regenerating into. And my theory was confirmed that she regenerated into David Tennant. David Tennant is back as the Doctor, not Nakuti. She regenerated into David Tennant. So David Tennant is now the 10th and 14th Doctor.
10th, 10.5, and the 14th.
So
are they not bringing Nakuti?
So the plan right now is that David Tennant is the Doctor for the 3 specials that air next year.
Oh.
And then I guess he's going to regenerate into Nakuti, which is going to be the 15th Doctor.
Gotcha. He seems quite confused as to why he is himself.
Yes.
This does not seem to have been the plan.
All right. This is on HBO, right?
No.
It's on... I've been watching... I actually was binge watching Jodie Whittaker's series. I believe I've been watching it on Amazon.
Okay.
So yes, Josh actually pointed out that...
I have a gripe.
When he has a gripe. Josh,
I have a gripe.
What is your gripe?
It's a weird, nerdy gripe.
Of course he has a gripe.
Have I become the old grumpy nerd? Just doesn't think anything's good.
You've become older than me.
It's well, no, it's because we're changing canon. All right? This is the first time in the history of Who-ness that when he regenerated, he changed his clothes. Heresy.
Oh. It's not who they generated into. It was the fact that their clothes changed.
I will never badmouth David Tennant. David Tennant's a gift.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so in Doctor Who, whenever they regenerate, typically their first episode, they're still wearing the clothes of the last Doctor.
Right.
As like a little transition period. It's actually like a whole scene, usually towards the end of their first episode, where like they find their new costume. But when she regenerated, it was actually just into David Tennant already wearing his classic clothes.
Except it's not even his classic clothes. That was my second gripe, or gripe subsection B, where like his suit was the same, but his coat's blue now. He never had a blue coat. It was always brown.
Yeah, no, he had two. He had 2 sets. It was like inverses of each other.
No, I thought it was 2 different suits, but the coat was always brown.
Ooh.
Pretty sure.
I know he had at least 2 outfits, and they were basically like the same but different colors.
Yeah, if he went into the future, he wore a blue suit. If he went into the past, he wore a brown suit. And I
love that you know that.
Yeah, and
I had no clue as a
yeah,
thing.
like you could always tell which way they were going to go in the episode depending on what he was wearing.
I'm still baffled by the hair thing.
Oh, the sad hair.
His happy hair is back.
Yeah. His happy hair. Okay, so his happy hair.
But the point is, the coat was always brown.
Oh no, I'm hoping that gets explained in the story.
Why the coat's blue?
Not seen.
Yes, I would like to know.
Well, okay.
Speaking of Doctor Who and Matt Smith. No, I don't know.
Okay. So actually, I knew I saw this somewhere. So Russell T Davies, he's actually confirmed that Nkuti Gatwa is actually going to be, on paper, the 15th Doctor. So that means Tennant is
officially the 14th. That's cool.
And the 10th. Yeah.
So I wonder if he's going to be a different personality.
He didn't seem like it, but I guess he could.
It didn't seem. Yeah. We don't know. We didn't see much, but
don't know. I mean, if he's going to be a different Doctor, if they're counting him as a different count, a different number, there's, to me, that says that he could be a different personality.
Maybe that's why the coat's different.
Oh,
right.
That makes sense.
What if it's evil, David?
Oh, Jason, this is a prediction. I am writing it down.
Okay.
So my last thing before we move on, we're actually obviously yet again taking a lot of time, but
these are good. These are good discussions.
My thing is that, do we have to see him regenerate again?
Yeah.
We're going to watch David Tennant die a second time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
I don't know if I can do that again.
Well, I mean, maybe it depends on how his character is.
Oh, God.
I mean, if he's like some sort of evil or like muck up, we'll probably be like, okay.
Like his original regeneration is like one of the most emotional scenes in all of television.
No, it was. Yeah. Well, it's also because he's one of the best Doctors in history.
Yeah. It's a great time we live in where David Tennant is the current Doctor. That's awesome.
But he needs more time to work on bad or good omens too. So
I don't know. All right. So yes, that's Doctor Who. When these specials air next year, I believe there's 3 of them. They're airing throughout 2023. We will be watching them. We will be sharing our thoughts because it's going to be a good time.
Yes.
But that's all the news. Guys, do you want to get into our reviews?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, in review, don't forget there are spoilers all throughout this segment. In review, we will be talking about and reviewing Black Adam. Season 1 of She-Hulk. Season 1 of The Rings of Power.
Season 1 Rings of Power.
And Season 1 of House of the Dragon.
House of Dragon Season 1.
And I believe we will be starting with Black Adam. So, Jason, Josh, yay or nay? Was this a cool movie?
I feel like it was a good palate cleanser.
How do you mean?
Like, that's the best way I can put it. I didn't have to think about it too hard. It kind of wiped clean some of the distaste of some of the previous projects. And I think a lot of that went back to it didn't take itself super, super seriously. And I dare say that it was allowed to have a little bit of a sense of style to it.
Yeah.
And Dr. Fate's the coolest thing on the face of the planet.
Yeah, so I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. And yeah, you can't take it too seriously because, I mean, the story is nothing special. But Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam, he really was made for that role. Like, he killed it throughout the entire movie. I loved watching him as Black Adam. He had the good stare for it. He had that look. It was a good look. But also, like Josh was saying, Pierce Brosnan, a pleasant surprise as Dr. Fate.
Dr. Fate.
Fate. Yep. That was surprisingly an emotional storyline for him. And just everybody. I walked out of that theater thoroughly enjoying the 2 hours I spent watching it. Now, going into it, not really having any expectations.
See, I think that helps.
Yeah.
As I was awaiting a dumpster fire.
I wasn't even waiting a dumpster fire. I had zero expectations.
I was there to see Henry Cavill. Like, dead serious.
Same. Yeah. Same. I paid the ticket to see 40 seconds.
Yeah. And I ended up, like Corey said, like I enjoyed it. It is not like going to redefine cinema. It's not going to be like the new superhero movie. But like, was it good and enjoyable and decently paced? Yes. So actually, was reading a story. It was actually apparently a pretty hard R movie. They actually had to resubmit it
4 different times to get re-rated down to a PG-13.
I could see
that was actually pretty obvious with the final cut we did get, because there actually was some pretty gruesome fight scenes in there with like torn off limbs and like melting bodies and stuff. So it actually was a surprisingly dark movie for PG-13. So having said that, I loved the action scenes were the best part. That was some of the best fight scenes we've had.
It was an action movie. It was a little bit of plot wrapped around an action movie, not the other way around.
And I think that's my biggest issue with it, is that there was no substance to it. And I've said this to you guys, like, as long as the story's good and the acting's good, I can forgive anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that, really. I mean, Dwayne Johnson clearly was having a good time, but that's about what I could say for him. I mean, did he look good as Black Adam? Yeah. Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate was excellent.
Grossly overqualified.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you could tell, like, he's like the high caliber actor in that group.
Lends it legitimacy. Yeah.
Right. But and first of all, I had no clue I needed to see him as a superhero.
Right.
But it was really cool. I think it was a bad decision to kill him off, because Dr. Fate is a huge part of the DC universe.
Now, old DJ,
I don't think that was a good idea.
Old DJ keeps saying he's coming back.
Okay. All right. I've not heard that.
We'll see. It's a comic book.
I think I don't understand why they went with Smasher instead of the Atom, because that's essentially what this guy does. He shrinks and enlarges, because that's what the Atom does. So I don't know why they went with Smasher, because it's essentially the same character.
I like that Henry Winkle was.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
The
very
original,
quick cameo.
That was weird. I'm like, okay, the Fonz just came out of nowhere, but okay. I saw what they were trying to do with Aldous Hodges as Hawkman with Black Adam and have this back and forth. There was no sincerity to me in it.
Felt like, a little two-dimensional sometimes.
I
could see that. That's fair.
A lot of the acting just seemed forced or I don't know. The story was a little contrived. There were some things that I thought were really interesting, like Quintessa Swindell's Cyclone. When they showed her doing her power, the choreography was like a ballet.
Yeah,
and I thought that
cool.
was beautiful. I thought that was just an artistic masterpiece when they did that. I really enjoyed that. So I mean, it was a serviceable movie. They doubled down on making some things canon, like Peacemaker characters.
Yeah.
Jennifer Holland's Harcourt.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Josh. That's who I was talking about when we were Josh and I watched it together. That was the woman from Peacemaker.
Yeah,
and so it's nice to see her actually back in some other DC movie. Yeah,
still working for Waller.
Yeah,
right. But and this leads to the big question: how in the world does Waller have something on Superman?
Yeah, but see, that's
the question.
See, that's someone that I wanted to have an HBO Max show. Like
Waller.
I was sold on her character. Yeah. Ever since the post-credit scene of the original Suicide Squad, where Bruce Wayne comes to get
Viola Davis is, she is.
Yeah, where Bruce Wayne...
terrifying in that role.
Yeah, where Bruce Wayne comes to get the files on the other superheroes. Mm-hmm. She looks Bruce Wayne dead in the face and says, "You look tired. You need to quit your night job." Like...
Translation, we know what you're up to.
Yeah, so like, I mean, that's like... And then, because it's Viola Davis, like, it was... You could give that woman a wet newspaper and she'd turn an amazing performance out of it.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing that I was let down by, I guess is technically a story beat, but only because it's a very large deviation from the comics. And I think it was purely because they're trying very hard to kind of sort of turn Black Adam into a hero or maybe an anti-hero. It was right at the very end where you get the money shot where he sits down on the throne and he even hits the pose straight off the comics where he's just kind of slouched over and leaning back as the king of not Klondike.
Klondike. Kendak.
That sounds right. Close enough.
Anyway, he even hits the pose where he leans back and he's the ruler, and they ask him how he feels, and he says, "Wrong." And he breaks the throne. That's not what Black Adam does. He would have been like, "Feels right. Let's fix the country." Like that was the one thing I was a little let down by, but I think it's because they're kind of trying to make him into an anti-hero instead of a villain that is occasionally not wrong, right. So, but it's weird because Dwayne Johnson is still trying to make him a big adversary for Superman. Having him be an adversary for Superman and a hero is kind of at odds for each other. So I would have had him sit on the throne. He looks dead into the camera, breaks the fourth wall, cut to black. That's what I would have had.
That might have been the better thing to do. Yeah. I could have gone with that.
Maybe that was shot and written before. Obviously, it probably was before they knew Superman was coming back.
Yeah.
So they already committed to that storyline. So I don't know. All right, let's move into scores. I'm giving it a really solid. So again, my scores are based on entertainment and recommendation ability. And so I don't care too much about if it's a crappy story. As long as I'm having fun, I don't care.
Right.
And so my score, I'm giving it a really solid 4 out of 5 because I really enjoyed those 2 hours I spent. What about you guys?
Okay. Josh, you go.
I'm also going to give it a 4 out of 5. And kind of like Corey said, it's a firm 4 out of 5. Like, it's closer to a 5 than it is to a 3.
And Jason.
Yeah, so nothing really about this movie really popped out to me, except for that choreography of the of Cyclone, and of course the end credit scene. So, I mean, and this, I was also trying to figure out if this would be a movie that I'd watch again. Like, do I want to watch it again? And I'm like, not really. So I'm gonna give it a 2.75.
All right. That's about what I was expecting from you. So that makes sense. All right. So that gives us across the board a 3.58 for Black Adam out of 5.
That feels right.
Again, though, Dwayne Johnson, thank you.
Thank you
from the bottom of my heart.
Dwayne Johnson.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving into She-Hulk season 1, reviewing it as a whole. And coming into this conversation, we talked about how we were going to approach this, because we are well aware of the fact that we are 3 white men that are reviewing a show that deals with a lot of societal issues, specifically about the treatment of women.
Mm-hmm.
And we can, obviously, because of who we are, we can come across as maybe ignorant of the issue.
Misogynistic.
And we had a huge discussion about this before we hit the record button.
Right.
And Jason, I don't know, explain how we're going to approach this conversation, because you were doing a great job, because you have talked to people that had different perspectives about this show.
Right. So the 3 of us, we try to be as objective as possible on these shows. But we also recognize that we have limitations when it comes to these gender issues, when it comes to ethnic or racial issues. We just don't have the perspectives or life experiences that lend any type of real credibility to some of these things. So we tread lightly, and we often feel we feel almost wrong sometimes when we don't like what we're seeing on the show, and I think we all agree at some point, we don't know if it's just being male, if it's being white, if it's or it's just not a good show. We don't know. So so we tread lightly, we tread carefully, but we also want to give it a review, because it's part of our world. This is comic and geek and nerd stuff, and stuff that we love. So we recognize that we don't have the perspectives needed to probably give this a fair shake, but we're going to do the best we can. So please take that in consideration as we move forward. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, I'll kick us off. Thank you. She-Hulk, individual episodes, I thoroughly enjoyed. But I think that's the issue, because it goes back to the expectations conversation we were having earlier in this episode, where as a whole, it was teasing you that it was building up to something big. And like the superhero show that we thought it was building up to some kind of big superhero something that ties into the greater MCU. But because of that last episode, which by itself was super weird, it got super meta, super fourth wall breaky, which was unlike anything we got in previous episodes. Because of that, the storyline that last episode basically said that she could undo everything that happened in previous episodes, basically making the first 8 episodes of the series null and void if she wanted it to be.
And she did.
And she did. And that basically made me feel like the first 80 episodes that I watched were kind of a waste of time.
Thank you.
That you're welcome.
No, I mean, that's exactly how I feel. Like, I kept coming back because I think we all agree we wanted to like every episode. Mm-hmm. And there were good things in every episode. Mm-hmm. But our biggest complaint from the start of the season was that I don't really feel like this is going anywhere. And the place that they started hinting that it was going, she literally just changed her mind and undid at the end. Mm-hmm. So if you started this show and stopped it right after she got her job at the law firm, you are caught up.
Yeah.
In the first episode, you are caught up. And that's just like, it's kind of like what I was saying before about the MCU being all over the place. Like, I'm a grown ass man. I got 2 kids. I work all the time. Taking 5 hours from me is kind of crappy.
So I will say that storyline where she does come out of the show and does tell the writers to change things, it's actually straight from the comics. She did that multiple times in comic books.
And I get that.
And I think that works in comic book format, but in television medium, it kind of insults the watcher.
It was
because I had to spend a lot of time watching it just to have you say that the storyline could be changed at any moment.
So what I would have done differently is, like, in general, I kind of like the idea.
Yeah.
Like on paper, I like the idea. However, you almost needed to go harder into it. Like, you needed to really build it up and build it up and build it up. And then when that finale came around, everything just goes to crap and it can't be solved. And you know what I'm saying? You should have this big...
Yeah, I do. I think you're right on that.
You should have this big all is lost moment. And then she just says, you know what? Screw this.
And that's like a super... Yeah, no, you're right. Because if they had built that up as one of her powers, like as the ability to change the story, like hinted at it throughout this... Yeah, that would have worked a lot better, because this just went off the rafters, off the rails.
So it's not just that you nullified the season.
Yeah.
It's just that the nullification solved a problem that was barely a problem.
It wasn't earned. Yeah. And while you were talking, I did look up. You both agree that this is how she is in the comics, or how the comics are for She-Hulk. Is that she not only does she break the fourth wall, but she changes the story. And I'm actually looking at an image, and I'll send this over, of She-Hulk ripping up the comic square, tearing it up, trashing it, and saying, "This is my movie, or my comic." So so this is not something that's unusual for her character.
You know, it's very hard to do meta stuff well in film and TV stuff, because it can
be very jarring.
It can be very jarring. Like when we watched Matrix Resurrections, it felt just so weird that they were trying to get meta with it. And I really liked the idea of it in that last episode of She-Hulk, because actually it was a pretty funny idea.
Oh my gosh. It was different. It was fresh.
Yeah. And it was fun to watch, but just for the story and just what it meant for the series as a whole, it ruined the experience for me. And I think that actually ties back into just the series as a whole. The expectations of what to expect every episode, there were none, because every single episode felt so different. Some episodes felt like a sitcom. Some episodes felt like an action drama. Some episodes felt straight like a superhero comic story. So just every episode, it just did not feel cohesive, I think is just the best word. It was not cohesive.
Right. And so again, we go back to expectations. You know, is this our expectation? Was it supposed to be episodic and we wanted it to be serial? You know, were there, like, you know, a lot of episodic shows do have overarching stories that come back into play from time to time. Star Trek is a good example of that.
Yeah.
Like with Q.
Yeah.
You know, so is that just a shortened version of this, you know, that we watched? It was certainly unique. It was certainly different. I wanted to really like it, and it just didn't. Yeah. It didn't sit for me, though.
No, I will say
it didn't hit home.
Tatiana Maslany, she killed it. She was fantastic.
Oh,
she was the perfect casting.
I wish she'd gotten a better story.
Well, real quick, I do want to ask your thoughts on Charlie Cox's Daredevil.
And you know what? That actually brings up a good point, because another one of my big cons with this show is the treatment of some of the characters that we know really well from the MCU, namely Bruce Banner / Hulk, Abomination from the Incredible Hulk movie, Wong, and now Daredevil. And I have made my thoughts well known about the treatment of Hulk. It's felt like a huge character regression from how we were introduced to him 10 years ago, 20 years ago, however long it's been. Now he just seems like a for laughs character, which is not how he used to be. Same thing with Abomination. Back when we last saw him in the Incredible Hulk movie, he was this big menacing guy, and now he's just, yet again, a character for laughs.
A joke.
Wong was pretty even. Like when we first met Wong in the first Doctor Strange movie, he was a pretty dry guy, but he had some jokes. He's embraced that jokey side of him, so I think that's fine because it works for him.
Yeah, but he's started doing wildly irresponsible things.
That is true. Good point.
That I just don't think Wong would do.
As Sorcerer Supreme, who he does not seem like he is.
Yeah. Tying that into Daredevil, how I think about him in this, he did seem more comic-y, and that's not really what I want from this character, but I'm kind of wondering if outside of this She-Hulk show,
if his tone changed to match the show.
Yes, I'm kind of thinking that's what's happening, is that because of how She-Hulk, the show, breaks the fourth wall and gets meta, if things change when it's brought into the show, but then when it goes back to its respective corners of the MCU, it goes back to the tone that we expect. So maybe when Daredevil's in this show, he's more comical, but when he's in his own show, he's more Daredevil-y, darky than that we're used to.
Now, I did like them as a couple, though.
Yes, I shipped them. They were very cute.
I shipped them as well.
It will go nowhere.
It probably won't.
No, I 100% guarantee it'll go nowhere.
I would like to say I called it on Hulk's son, Hulk's child.
Yeah, so that is the big story thing. You did call that.
Yes. Thank you.
Jason was right.
So yes, that was the big reveal at the end of the show, is that Hulk does have a son from his time on Skaar. And that kind of teases that we could be getting a World War Hulk. I cannot say that.
World War Hulk.
That's such a mouthful. That does tease
was hard to say.
That does kind of tease a bigger story for Hulk coming up at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go ahead and use this time to share final thoughts, tie up those loose ends about what we've been discussing. Give us your score for She-Hulk for all of season 1.
Oh, I'm going to give it a 3.75.
Wow, that is a lot higher than I was expecting.
Well, I mean, the acting was good. Like I said, give me good acting. I'm okay with it. The story was a little rough, but it was unique, so it kept me entertained. But the directions and the wackiness of it was just a little too much for me. So that's where they lost me.
Yeah, and I'll say my score is a 3 out of 5. And my 3s and my 4s are very similar, but the thing that separates them is that a 4 out of 5 I will recommend. A 3 out of 5 I will probably not. It's like both are good movies. I enjoyed them, but 3 out of 5 I'm going to tell you, not worth your time. 4 out of 5s, yes, go watch. So She-Hulk, I enjoyed it, but overall I'm not going to recommend it. So 3 out of 5 for me. What about you, Josh?
I mean, I really am conflicted because there were parts of it that I really did enjoy, but I think it could be best summed up as, and Jason and I have talked about this before, is the old writing rule of show me, don't tell me. And
yep,
we joke about like mansplaining and things like that. I kind of feel like this entire show was womansplaining to me. And it's not that the ideas weren't good or weren't valid, but if I feel like I'm being talked down to, like, for example, we kind of discussed, there was not a male character on there that you could take seriously, aside from Daredevil, kind of.
Right.
A better way to do it would have been to still have everyone be competent, but show how she measures up to that and exceeds that. And so I feel like
and showing the competent men learning something.
Exactly. If you own up an incompetent person, have you really won?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah. And
like if you punch a handicapped kid, you're not a boxing champ. You're an asshole. So
God,
you get what I'm saying though? So I mean, like, that's the best.
You're right.
That is the best, and probably someone will still say that I'm just being a chauvinistic butthole, but I mean, it's a valid point. and I think a valid piece of criticism of the show, is that I did feel talked down to the entire time, which is a shame because I really wanted to like the show. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5.
All right. Yeah. So across the board, we're giving this show for the season 1 of the show, a 2.92 out of 5. And I say season 1 because season 2, I believe, has been confirmed.
And I'll watch it. I just hope it's better.
That's She-Hulk season 1, people.
In the books.
Let's move into the Rings of Power. So we don't want to get too deep into the story of this because Josh has not caught up. And we don't want to ruin anything that happens.
I've read all the spoilers. Y'all can be as open as you want.
Well, okay. All right. So my impressions as someone that does not like fantasy and typically just does not care about the Lord of the Rings of Power is an amazing show. And the 3 of us watched the first episode together.
First 2.
And we were just blown away. Like, we were instantly like, oh my God, this is redefining television. And it kind of waned a little bit in the middle episodes, like the pacing and everything kind of dragged on a little bit. But then the third act of the series, which I guess is episodes 6 through 8, really picked things back up in triplicate. Like, the action scenes picked up. We had big battle scenes. We had big character twists and stuff. And so it ended on a very big high note. And yet again, as someone that does not care about Lord of the Rings, I actually am very excited to see where this goes in season 2. So yeah, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5, guys. It's a 5 out of 5 for me.
Wow. Okay.
From the guy who doesn't like fantasy.
For the guy that doesn't like fantasy. So that just tells you how well made it was. Like, production value through the roof. The writing was solid. And from what I gather, it took some liberties from the source material, but overall, it worked, from what I can tell, as someone that's not know the source material at all. Acting was great. Battle scenes were great. I have no complaints. Well, actually, I complain about the Hardfoots, but that's fine. They weren't there that much towards the end. So, yeah, 5 out of 5 for me. What about you guys?
It lost its luster for me.
What in the world?
Yeah. I was sitting there going, man, here's something Corey really likes, and it kind of changed for me.
Got to take a big old steamer on it.
Sorry. No, okay. So the visuals remained stunning and just incredible. Every time they showed they did a location establishment shot. Oh my gosh, so pretty. I loved the characters were great. I loved how they were all made up and all, and how they were depicted.
A lot of makeup. Jason likes makeup.
A lot, yeah. I was just like thinking how each of the, Ilsdor's father was, and Ilsdor himself, and Galadriel, and anyway, they each just really looked amazing for their parts. But it just never. It seemed like it was trying to get up to a certain speed, and it just kept trying to get there for me, and it just never got there. So the last couple episodes, I was checking my phone a lot. Just kind of wait. Yeah. I mean,
for some reason, this is like the one show I have not looked at my phone while watching it.
Wow.
Yeah. Out of all the shows.
Yeah. Now, I think I like that the stranger did turn out to be, I believe it's Gandalf.
Yeah, they still haven't officially said it, but it's Gandalf.
But he did say he said
some lines that we're familiar
Follow
with.
Your nose, Frodo.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh, yeah, but
in the beginning of the episode, they teased that he was actually Sauron. They even called him Lord. Is that what they call him? Lord Sauron?
Yeah, those two guys.
Yeah, Lord,
that's who he was. Yeah.
But I didn't believe it for a second.
Oh, I kind of did. Because it's kind of what I was building up to. I was like, okay, so it's checking out. But in the same episode, we actually found out who is the real Sauron, which did any of us predict?
Oh, right.
Hildegard?
Nope, I didn't.
Halbrand?
Sure.
Yeah, Halbrand. Who the heck is Hildegard?
So yes, Halbrand. That is why we didn't know anything about this character going into it, because he's actually just Sauron.
We're going to have to check the tapes. I'm pretty sure I called that.
Did you? I didn't write that one down.
I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay.
We have to look back. I think
you may have to go. You may have to do your own research on that, Josh, and then pull it back up.
Pull up the time code. Let me know.
Episode and time code, sir.
I didn't see it coming. I knew he was a mysterious character. I thought he was just going to be someone that like foils some kind of plot. I did not think he was the big bad guy.
I thought he was going to be like Aragorn light. I just, I'm like, well, just like some shadow of what Aragorn is going to be.
The LaCroix of Aragorns.
LaCroix. Ooh, that's a good one. What is LaCroix? I've never heard of that.
It's a drink.
It's that drink.
Yeah.
LaCroix.
Oh, like what? Oh, the water. Gotcha. Okay, I'm with you now. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
fun fact. I'm actually a huge fan of LaCroix. So
yeah, it's fine. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. It's cheap. Yeah.
So it lost its steam.
Yeah. It lost its luster.
Well, so
which is sad.
What are you giving it?
You know, I think I'm kind of stuck on the. I give it a 3.5.
Oh my gosh, that low?
Yeah,
Jason, what is wrong? You're broken. You were just. I'm just kidding.
I enjoyed it, but it was like, come on, and then nothing. Just nothing.
So with Josh's score, we're actually just going to keep him out of 4 since he's still a few episodes behind.
Okay.
So with Josh at a 4, you at a 3.5, and me at a 5. That's such a cool spread. That puts us at a 4.17 across the board. So does that feel right?
I think it feels honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's honest. Yeah. I think that's right.
Yeah. It did. It right out the gate, it set some really high expectations.
It did.
Which I will admit, it did not necessarily meet those expectations throughout the entire season, but it did not lose anything for me in terms of entertainment. So that's why I'm keeping it at a 5 from where I first started out. So, all right. And now let's wrap it up with our season 1 review of House of the Dragon. Josh, theme song.
Thank
you.
Nailed it.
As impersonating Peter Griffin. Josh, you crack me up.
I keep going back to the thing that Jason brought up a few episodes ago, where it really does feel like you're watching a book.
It's a very weird feeling, isn't it?
It is, because there's not constant action. There's a lot of talking.
It's not afraid to take its time.
It's not. And it feels like there's always something happening, though.
Right. It's so full.
Yeah.
But there's nothing going on. There's not a lot going on. Yeah. But there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's scheming.
Yeah. It's a very weird feeling.
It's a lot of scheming.
And since the last time we talked, we have not discussed the king dying.
Right.
In that episode, that entire episode, I think it was episode 8 or 7, the last episode where the king was alive. Mm-hmm. He was just a fragile man. He was completely falling apart. And that episode was some of the best acting I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
And this is the same episode where he roused himself out of bed and worked himself to the throne room, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That was powerful to see this man who was kind of wishy-washy. His whole, our whole introduction to him, and he musters what reserve of energy he has left to kind of give one final statement, like, I'm still your king. And that was pretty cool.
Why are we having a hearing on a matter that's settled? Yeah. That was the most kingly he's ever been.
Yeah, so we learned from the makers of the show that scene, the throne scene where he is limping into where he drops his crown and Daemon picks it up, that was all improvised. That was actually not written to script. The crown falling off was not planned. But they just kept rolling because they saw that Matt Smith was going over to pick up the crown. And so they kept that in because it was so emotionally powerful. And my gosh, it was.
It was. Yeah. It was a good scene. It was a strong scene.
When we first met Daemon, he was gunning for the throne. And then you have Daemon here seeing his fragile brother try to be the king that everyone wants him to be.
I think it was the first time he respected his brother as the king.
Yeah.
Because when he was healthy, he didn't always seem like he was really putting in any effort in doing it. But now on his deathbed, he put on his big boy pants and came downstairs and set actually for once told people what was what.
Yeah.
And so that was probably legitimately the first time in like 40 years that Daemon respected his brother.
Yeah. So thank you, Patty Considine. Considine?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And then he died.
And then he died. So, yeah, he did.
Whispering cryptic things to his wife,
which totally she misunderstood. Which she completely misconstrued.
Well, he still thought he was,
began a war.
He was finishing his conversation with Rhaenyra.
Yeah,
he did not fully understand that was his wife, and so that is those zany Targaryens. Just
and so honestly, I'm just watching that play out the next couple episodes. I'm just like so upset that everything we're watching is because of a misunderstood deathbed confession.
You can tell Alicent really believes it. Like she doesn't think she's being
and that's
sneaky.
the tragedy of it.
It's very Shakespearean.
Right.
She doesn't know she doesn't know she's wrong.
Well, that she knows she's wrong. Yeah. Yeah. There was nothing misleading. Nobody was misled.
No.
There was no manipulation at that point.
Yeah.
She was actually going to stand up against her father, to put Rhaenyra on the throne, and that's the tragedy of the whole thing, which leads us to our final episode, which just keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
If by worse you mean awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, no, so there were a few things.
The situation gets worse. Yeah. The episode is awesome.
There were a few things that upset is not the right word. I'm not a particularly squeamish person. Gore and stuff is usually fine.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The stillbirth bothered me.
I literally had looked through my fingers because I could not watch it. It was
that was a rough scene.
But at the same time, an insanely powerful moment for her, though. Like she did that herself.
Yeah.
And amazingly acted.
Yeah. And
I mean, it was convincing. She did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. And so
an
the art department did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. Everyone involved in that. But it was a little upset. Like it made me uncomfortable, like exceedingly uncomfortable.
Right. Which really allowed, after that, the fact that she still was trying to keep her composure about what was going on, that much more impressive.
Yeah. This is the second time she popped out a kid and immediately got back to work.
Right. And trying to hold the kingdom together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she could have gone completely a different way, which she just may still.
Yeah.
Because.
Yeah. Little Lucerys.
Because old Patch Adams took out her son.
So
thank you for that.
So two things about that for me.
Right.
The one shot, which it's been all over Twitter, so I'm not the only one who thought it was cool. But the one shot where, is it Lucerys? Is that his name? Something like Lucerys? Was trying to fly back, and then you see
the big dragon
come in overhead.
Right.
Terrifying. Right.
And just how giant
and I watched
one dragon is to the other.
Good
Lord.
Yeah, I watched it on the projector. So like it felt huge.
Yeah, oh God.
And it was terrifying. But also the other thing is after all of that, the very last scene where clearly she was told that's what happened.
Right. Yeah.
The other thing that I saw online that cracked me up, and I completely agree with, any future war crimes are forgiven on the part of Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra, yeah.
Like it's because she was trying to do the right thing. And
that dude, what's the kid's name? The blonde head patch
Aemon.
with the eye patch. What's his name? Aemon. He knew he screwed up.
Oh yeah, I don't think he ever
he lost. No, he was going to taunt. It was like he was going to mess with kids drag racing.
Yeah, he was going to mess.
Right, it's like two kids drag racing who are like enemies at school, and then something horrific happens, and that is precisely what happened here. And he knew. He probably just started a war. Like that was in his face. So props to that actor. Like you were like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
He conveyed that pretty well.
It's a very angular face.
And the final scene where Daemon's coming in to tell her the news, and she just she turns away from the camera towards the fireplace, and she's like, you can, without even seeing her face, you know exactly what she's feeling by her body language. Yeah. And then she turns around, she's just like, oh, she's about to do some stuff. She's about to mess some people up. Like,
and then that's where we ended it. I'm like, we got to wait till 2024 for this.
Yeah, like what the heck is that about?
Right?
Yep. Yeah. So I never thought that I would be hooked on not only House of the Dragon, but the Rings of the Power at the same time.
Yeah.
Who am I? Because my gosh,
I'm you know, we've seen a transformation in Corey these last couple of weeks. So any of you who've been listening in and paying attention, you have witnessed a birth of an entirely new being. This is Corastium is his new name.
Oh gosh,
he's leveled up.
So this is one of those shows where we could literally spend 2 hours talking about a 1 hour long show because so much happens in it. But alas, we're actually out of time. We're over time. So House of the Dragon season 1, the last we'll be talking about this show for over a year.
Oh,
what are we giving it scores wise? Obviously, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. Every second of this show was awesome. Couldn't do anything different myself. 5 out of 5. What about you, Jason?
The ending was strong. The beginning was strong. And the middle was strong. So I have to give it about a 5. Yeah, 5 out of 5.
Wow. All right.
The rare 5 out of 5.
And then Josh.
17 out of 5.
You can't do that. We've discussed this before.
Okay. Fine.
What out of 5?
5.
5 what?
Okay. Oh.
This is your last chance for this show for 2 years. What is it?
Ooh. 5 regicides out of 5.
Cool. Okay.
Right.
5 dead kings.
So if you can't do the math, I'll spell it out for you. We're giving it a 5 out of 5 across the board. So
does that add up? Hang on. Let me figure it out. 5 divided by 3, 15 divided by 35. 5. Yeah, you're right. Okay, that adds up.
So I will say, this is a new record. This is the first show that we have given a perfect score of 5 out of 5. Our only other 5 across the board was Nope, and that was a movie. So first TV show has given a 5 out of 5. We did
Jason
it.
Messed up Star Trek.
Do you want to be? You want to have nice numbers? Or you want to be?
Looking back at our Star Trek Strange New World scores, we actually all dumped it down for that one episode.
Oh,
so.
yeah. Never mind. That's fair. I take it back. That's fair. That one was weird.
You want good numbers or you want truth and honesty? What do you want?
Good numbers. I work in retail.
So yes, that wraps us up for Black Adam, She-Hulk, The Rings of Power, House of the Dragon. We are basically recommending all of those across the board except for She-Hulk. So please go watch them if you have not, and stay tuned for our next episode where we basically have nothing to talk about. So stay tuned.
We'll figure something out. Trust us. We can talk about nothing forever.
There's always something geeky to talk about.
There's always something. Hey, what do our analytics look like, Corey? The real question I'm asking is it evident that people are sharing or not?
Okay, let's not.
That's the question.
Are you trying to share shame our audience?
It sounds like I was going to try to paint a prettier picture on this, but what Jason's trying to say is we need you to share this show some more. How about that?
Right. For the love of all thing comic and nerdy.
You have not done your homework that we have given you consistently for 29 weeks. Do your homework. It's overdue.
We give you good stuff.
We've given you so many extensions on your homework assignment, and it's super easy.
Hey, share the podcast.
Oh, hey, Fat Albert, you're still here. Why?
Why not?
I can think of a few reasons. But yes,
probably.
Share this show, please. It helps more than you can imagine. And also go follow us on social media, on Instagram at Eat Sleep Nerd, on Twitter at Eat Sleep Nerds.
We may even get a Facebook page set up sometime soon.
You know, I keep meaning to do that. So Facebook coming soon.
I'll take care of it. I'll do it. You don't like the Facebooks? I'll do the Facebooks.
So are we not doing the quote anymore? Is that
no more quotes. But I would tell you all out there to eat, sleep, and nerd.
Take it easy, people.